Yeah, Dukington.
We're gonna have the kinks. Okay. Test, test. Go ahead.
Hi.
Oh, whew. All right.
Okay.
Welcome to the first ever podcast episode of You Feel It Too, only on Dukington TV. Today we have a very extra special guest, my mom. So the format for these podcasts is going to be a series of questions, and we're going to answer based on how we feel about the topic, right? You see, we feel it too. First question. To you, what is the importance of community when having and raising children?
I think community is one of the most important aspects of raising children, especially if you're in a job where you're not going to be available 24/7 to your children. It's important to have them in an environment that provides them with some safety and answers the questions that they may have that you don't have answers readily for. But community plays a big part in that. They get a diverse amount of information and may not always be 100%, but they can come back to you as your parent and ask about those same questions.
And I think that doubles back to making sure they have a safe space within the community because, I mean, for me, working in education, that's a big thing for me. When I wake up and I go to work, I say, how can I make sure that I'm a part of their learning community?
Correct.
Especially nowadays, kids learn very differently. So it's like, how can I be a part of the environment where they can come to me and feel safe to ask me stuff, even though I'm not like their specific teacher, I'm still part of their learning community.
Exactly.
And I think that's important, just to create that environment for kids. Because they try to tell you mom and dad, but our family is more than mom and dad.
More than,
Our
yeah.
family is aunt, uncle, cousin, sister, grandma, grandpa, the teacher,
My sister girl,
co-workers,
co-workers.
mom's best friends, all of that. And
Yes.
there's people that if she trusts them, then that's family. Because
Right.
we don't dole out trust to just anybody.
Right. It's not somebody you met yesterday or last week. It takes years. Some people have a quick bonding, but when it comes to your children, you have to be very particular and very careful and understand what you're doing when you bring other people into their lives.
Especially like kids at a young age, they get stuck to certain people. Like if you're kind enough to kids, they love you. So as a parent, you have to use that discernment. As an adult, you have to use that discernment that like, is this okay? This person okay to bring around my kid because you don't want anybody because they won't know the flaws of a person as much as an adult would pick up on the flaws of a person.
Correct.
Is wanting kids selfish?
That is a two-pronged question. It's not selfish, but when you bring kids into this world, you're the one bringing them here. They didn't ask to be here. So you have to make sure that certain things are put in place, or your finances, your support system, all those things. It may not always happen that way because it's iffy. You know how creation is. I would say maybe 20% selfish, 80% want.
Yeah.
You know.
Everybody has different wants. I think everybody's motivation to have kids is different. It could be seen as selfish, but selfish isn't always a bad thing.
Correct.
You want to want kids. Like you want for your parents to have wanted you. You know what I'm saying? And that is selfish, but that's a good selfish because you don't want to be those kids that with parents that didn't want them. And then some parents also want kids for like the show of it, like, dress them up, be like I'm mom, I'm dad,
and forget the most important parts of caring, teaching, understanding, nurturing.
They miss all those things, and it's like you wanted them for you. You didn't think about what they would need when you brought them into the world. So yeah, you're right. It is a nuanced, double pronged question.
Okay.
What do you think of the phrase "let kids be kids"?
It's a tough one because it's not a blanket. It shouldn't be a blanket statement of let kids be kids. Some kids learn from observation. Some kids learn from visualizing. You yourself will want a kid, so you'll have to give them a line to draw from.
Mm-hmm.
Let them learn and be able to pick right from wrong. Because some kids, if you let them be kids, they will terrorize the place with no order, no structure.
Yeah, kids learn at different rates. They learn at different.
You're just letting them do their own thing, and that's the problem with letting kids be kids.
Yeah.
Now, the other part of letting kids be kids is not forcing them to grow up.
Yeah.
Like you have you have 3 kids and they're a couple years apart. Don't make the oldest babysit the others and forget about being a kid.
Yeah.
That's another problem right there. So
And that happens a lot, like in our communities too.
Yes.
And also like the internet now teaches kids. It teaches all of us like a lot of things. So it's like if you don't teach a kid, the internet will. So you're better off having a little bit more control on what they learn by just telling them. You know, it's kids. It's funny, especially nowadays. You don't really have to lie to kids as much as you used to, because you know the way we receive information and the way they receive information is so different because of the internet. It's like they understand concepts a lot better. They understand concepts a lot better from TV as well.
Correct.
Because the TV used to have a lot of censorship. They didn't speak on a lot of topics.
Correct.
In television before. So now, like some people will be like, "Oh my God, they put that in a kid show," but this is what kids. These are kids' realities.
Yes.
A lot of things that are on TV now, people think, "Oh, that's too much. I can't believe that's on a kid show," but that's their reality.
That's what
they go to school and they experience stuff like that, and they don't really have they don't all have safe spaces to come home and talk about it.
Correct.
So let kids be kids in the sense that like, yeah, don't force them to grow up. Like there's a time, and I never wanted to grow up. I had friends that was like, I couldn't wait to be an adult. No, that was never me. I always wanted to have enough money to do stuff, maybe adult stuff, but I didn't want to be a full-blown adult because I knew how hard it was being an adult, right? So I took my time growing up. Sometimes I do feel like I'm a little behind, with my peers, because a lot of people are doing a lot more things, or like the stuff I'm finally doing now that I'm an adult is stuff that they were doing when they were like 16 or 17, like, and I'm just like, well, sometimes it feels like a game of catch up, but then I have to remember I was letting myself be a kid, and I have to be like, it's fine. Everybody's timeline is different.
It's a learning process, as you grow, you develop, you have an inner, you could say an inner clock, where the human brain develops on its own, allowing you to learn certain things for yourself.
Certain concepts.
Right. So it comes as a natural understanding. Is this right though, or is it wrong? It tells you. You're going to figure it out. And if you make the wrong decision, there will be somebody there to
especially if you're raised in an environment of free thought, like free thinking, you always gonna have that inside, like, is this the right thing to do? Because it was an environment of free thought, yes, because you're smart, you figure it out, but also like I know I could depend on guidance because I don't have to have everything figured out. And she got years on me. That's my whole mom. She got years on me, so it's things that I don't know that she's gonna know. There's also things that I don't know she's not gonna know because different experiences. I used to tell Disha this all the time. She used to be like, "Don't do it. I done been through it. I tell you, don't do it." And at a certain age, I had to tell her, we're two different people.
Right.
We're in two different generations. Yeah, we're born at the ends of them, so we have a lot of things that relate.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, our experiences are not always going to be the same.
No.
So I need to go through certain things on my own and come out on the other side with that knowledge, because I won't receive it the same way where you just telling me and me not doing it.
Correct.
What is too much and what is not enough? Let me simplify. Like you used to drop us to school.
Correct.
But some days you'd be like, if you ain't up and ready and out this door when I up and ready and out this door, you're going to figure it out. Is that too much or is that not enough? Like, do you feel like you were babying us for certain things?
No, it wasn't a babying. Because even though I was raised not per se a different way, because mommy was very particular about what she wanted us to do, what she wanted us to know, how to do it, etc. Now, the times are different. So you're talking about the safety of your children is your foremost and forefront concern. So that it will not be babying. It will just be that handling your business, taking care of your responsibility, making sure that your children are fine. But you have to let them know the consequences of not following instruction, the consequences of not doing what they should be doing, in order for them to learn that there's an alternative way out there, that things could be happening and not the way that they're happening, where I'm trying to make it safe and easier for you. Okay.
I think like even at work, working with my student, I go through that in my head about too much or not enough. Because his motor skills are not that fully developed. So sometimes I have to punch his Capri Sun, or I have to tell him to slow down when he's eating his Oreos, or I have to peel open his wrappers for his snacks, just so he don't make a mess. But some people will look at it, you doing too much. But me personally, if I leave him to do it, it's not enough. And there's a fine line with that too, because
Yes.
you want him to learn.
Right, and that's the key. That's the key point right there. You let him try. If you don't let him try, that's the problem.
Yeah. Some days I ain't want to deal with a mess though.
Yeah, but you gotta let him try. If you see it's coming to that, you just hold up.
Yeah.
Let me help you.
Mm-hmm.
But let him understand that pay attention. This is how it goes. But you gotta let him try, else they're not gonna learn.
And then it's a patience thing too. So it's like, if you're doing too much, sometimes it's because you don't have the patience for them to figure it out. But if you ain't doing enough, sometimes it's because you just. Some people have a lot of faith in their kids. Some people just don't care, so they just do whatever.
Let them do whatever.
Let them fend for themselves. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that goes back to that community, because like if they got a community, sometimes not enough, people will pick up the slack, but that don't always happen. So what are examples of love that we shouldn't have to earn? Like just like a rapid fire, maybe like 10 examples of things we shouldn't have to earn, right? Like affection, like a hug. Some kids don't get to hug their parents. Like, did you clean your room, or were you nice to your siblings, or did you take out the garbage? Don't touch me. Like if you ain't do what I tell you to do, don't touch me. Like that. I feel like affection isn't something we should have to earn, because, like you said, we didn't choose to be here.
Yeah, right. I brought you here.
Affection is very important for early childhood development.
Yes.
My student always want to hug people, and he don't ask. Consent is very important. I be telling him, you need to ask before you hug people.
Yeah. But not in your home now. In your home, you should be able to give free reign and hugs.
When you outside, but home, hug mommy, hug daddy, hug brother, sister, grandma, everybody.
Now you listen to them saying this now, because I remember when AJ was little, it was a whole lot of you.
Because he was always snappy and dribbly.
It doesn't matter. He loved you. He wanted some love. He wanted some affection.
Now I don't hug him because he always want to do me this.
Okay. And you know what you do? When he was snotty and
wipe, Yes.
Yeah. And then give him his hug.
That's very advanced thinking.
So remember that. When you get your babies, they're going to be snotty.
They sure will, because I'm snotty right now.
Okay. And I knew the things I had to do for y'all when you were snotty as babies.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
What I'm talking about. Yeah. Okay.
Attention. What people sometimes don't realize is like the big picture when kids ask for attention. Because you have parents that work a lot, right? You maybe have a mean older sibling. You get to school and you don't really get much attention. Your teacher knows that you know your work. So they don't really call you because they know you're going to always get it right.
Answer.
You work well independently, so they maybe talk to you once or twice a day. You don't really make that much friends at school, so you're in the corner eating lunch, and you're in the corner at recess. You walk home by yourself, or you're on the bus by yourself. You get home, nobody home yet but the sibling, and it's a cycle of no attention. Some kids are fine. They thrive like that, just in solitude.
Not everybody.
But not everybody.
Yes, not everybody.
So I feel like attention is something you have to earn, especially if they are advanced enough to ask for it. I feel like that shouldn't be something that's like really hard to do.
You shouldn't have to earn time, and you shouldn't have to earn understanding. You shouldn't have to earn responsibility. There's a whole lot of things. That question of what should you not have to earn is huge. It's wide open, because there's so many things in life that you shouldn't have to earn. However, you should be cognizant of
and grateful
of how you're gonna get that.
Yeah. I feel gratitude will stretch it. I know for me personally, I was, cause me got on my own, but that my student is my kid.
Right.
When he have gratitude, it make me want to do more for him.
Correct.
So like, can you open this for me, please? Oh, you said please, of course. Yes. Thank you. Because sometimes he'd be like, open this. And I'd be like, who are you talking to?
Right.
But it's the same thing in his mind, open this, and can you please open this? It's the same thing in his mind. But to me, the manners, the gratitude behind it with the manners, it's like, okay, now I'm even more willing to, you know what I'm saying? Okay, let's discuss having kids for the image, fitting that nuclear family model, and having kids because that's what's expected.
I don't know what that is.
I feel like we had this conversation last night about like as the times change, people want different things in terms of like family,
Yes.
the family model.
Yes.
So people put careers first. Like okay, like in the 50s,
Mhm.
it was very much
Mommy,
husband goes to
daddy.
work,
Mom stays home.
mom stays home with the kids,
Yes.
housewife, she
Mhm.
cook, clean, take care of the kids,
Yes.
homework, bath time, all of that, right?
Mhm.
But as women enter the workforce, now anything a man could do, a woman could do, sometimes even better. That nuclear family model don't really work because now the kids sometimes fending for themselves, or it's a lot more stress. And some people don't want kids at all because it interferes with all the other things we don't get to do in life,
Correct.
like the travel,
Mhm.
and some people like nightlife, being able to go out. I mean, not everybody. I have a friend that she don't have no kids, but she also does not like being out past 8 o'clock. Me personally, I want kids, and but the nuclear family model isn't something that I'm tied to. I would love to have, the whole
Mom
wife,
and dad and
right?
2.5 kids.
You're right, the 2.5 kids. Well, my goal is 3 to 7. No, and you never know what God have planned for you. So it's like I like to keep an open mind with all of that, right? But like I was telling you the other day, like I wouldn't mind being a single dad because I know how important community is gonna be to me, regardless.
Yes.
Soon as I become a single dad, it's a whole lot of what we doing? Because you moving home with me? Because that's what I about to do. What's the plan? Because I feel like that's important. Yeah, you want what's the best thing for your kids, and sometimes what you're taught is the best thing for your kids is the mom and the dad or whatever. But sometimes they don't always work out that way. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of kids fight for their mom and their dad to get along or stay together so that they have that picture perfect thing that we were all seeing on TV and in movies, cartoons, and all of that. But
there is going to be the dynamic that the mom and the dad are going to get along. Where now you have to set up your situation properly. Time spent with mom, time spent with dad.
especially
What's
kids.
learned from mom, what's learned from dad. Have discussions with each other about the daily lives of that child to make them well-rounded and well-balanced so they can understand going forward what to expect from society on a whole because you as parents are laying the groundwork.
Yeah.
So we're going to have that dynamic of a single parent, yes, but more likely than not, you always, even though they're single, you always try to communicate and create that base for your child.
Right.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people also have kids because they want to. Like me. Like you just want to.
Yes.
You want to be a parent. You want to know what the unconditional love feels like to give it and to get it. But I feel like a lot of people do get it because it's expected of them and then end up hating it. I know people that just hate being parents. I don't know that many, but I do know people that just hate being parents.
Well, here one. I know that when I had when I had Disha, wonderful experience. And it just so happened that I had you a big distance apart, and your fathers and I may not always have gotten along, but they contributed their 2 cents in your upbringing. But I did most of your upbringing on my own, going off of what I learned from my mom, which was in the way that I used it to make you all well-rounded, different individuals. So I had 3 of you, and every 7 years. So that gave me time to instill individuality in each one of you. One ain't worried about what the next one doing or what the next one getting.
Yeah.
Or it shouldn't have been a big part of it because you had time.
Yeah.
All 3 had the time.
Yeah. I used to always say that, like I feel like even though it's 3 of us, I feel like we all had our only child time.
Yes, you did.
Because, there was points in life where it was just me and you, or it was just you and Disha, or it was just you and AJ. And I feel like that made a difference because it was just you. Like I feel like my dad was the least present.
Yes, he was.
Compared to like, Disha's dad and AJ's dad. May he rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that time for me was really important, and it set me up a lot for how I want to have, like my kids, like how I want to make sure that they know daddy loves them and they they know that they could come to me, and they know that like even if I have more than one or more than two or more than three, like the love don't run dry.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's like
Love is a constant. It
yeah,
should be a constant.
definitely. Love is a constant.
Yes.
It ebbs and flows, but I
It
feel
should
like
be a constant.
as you go through life and you experience things, that's why I said that attention is so important. Like I know, like for my friends that just had kids, like every day, it's like they find new things to love about their kids, and I was like, that's just like that must be one of the most beautiful experiences. You know what I'm saying? For love to just grow and keep growing, and to just experience these things with this whole person you created, like every day. The next topic is parenting your adult children. How do we feel about parenting your adult children? So now you got 3 adults. We're all adults now, in different senses of the word, but all adults, all in very different stages of our lives. So I know even then, that's what I wanted to say. The fact that like you instilled so much individuality in us that we're like completely different people. And the things that worked for my sister didn't work for me. Things that worked for me didn't work for my younger brothers. So it's like the dynamic was tricky every time. So kudos to you, because I don't know. Oh, you ain't got no gray hairs yet?
I got a few, but yeah. So your question is adulting adults, my adults. And I'm going to always be there, number one, because even though they are adults, they're at different stages of adulthood, and they still have questions, and they ask those questions, and that's what I appreciate. Sometimes I see things that shouldn't be done like that, or aren't jiving, or not the norm, or the natural way to do things. So I'm going to make suggestions. That's how I adult. I make suggestions. I ask questions in a way that what should I be picking up from what she's asking here? You know, I don't force my will on them, because if they don't want to do something, these Daphne children, they're not going to do it. Okay. But so I just make suggestions. I ask questions, and they ask me questions in turn if something is bothering them and they need to know or a way to do something that I know, because there's things that I don't know how to do that I have to ask them. That is a big, a good question and a big question, you know.
I feel like, you know, a lot of people think that when you hit 18, these are grown, no longer responsible. Can't have 2 men in the house. Can't have 2 women in the house.
Correct.
That's it. You gotta go. But I feel like the most effective way to parent an adult is to still guide them. But now you have that like respect of like, remember when you turned 18? Remember when you became an adult and how that felt? But still guiding them and having that support for them. I know people who became adults, you know, they turned 18, but they still had parents that were like, okay, you don't have to move out right away. Let's figure out a plan now that you're an adult. What you're not in school, or are you in school? Are you going to go to college? Are you going to start a career? How are you going to save money? Now finances have to come into play, because I'm no longer legally responsible for you because you're 18.
Correct.
But I'm still emotionally responsible for you because I brought you here. So what is the plan? What are we doing? How are we going to fix you up to make sure, you know, you're good to go to, you know, come into adulthood and not like lose your mind? I think for me, because I wasn't even 18 yet when I left home, because I started college at 17.
Correct.
But that's the path that I chose, you know, like I wanted to move away to college. You know, you come from a small island and you want to experience more of the world, so you go to the big city. You know what I'm saying? In hindsight, I don't regret going to New York, but in hindsight, I feel like certain things would have been further along if I had like stayed at home, because, you know, you kind of like take your time, you know? I mean, also in hindsight, when you about to experience all these new things, you think things are going to fall into place because you have all this enthusiasm and all this excitement and you're ready to go. You geared up. But things don't always pan out that way. That was a life lesson I feel like I would not have learned if I didn't leave. So it's pros and cons to it all the way around, and I'm just grateful that mom was able to be like, all right, I'm here. You know, there are also times where it's like, you know, being a man, you feel like certain things you have to man up. You have to just deal with them. You have to get it done on your own. And she used to be like, dude, I get it, but like, don't dig yourself into a hole you don't need to be in.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I already know you're a man.
That's a lesson I had to learn. So now when hardships happen, she's like, all right, I've seen you through worse, so let me know if you need me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that more sometimes than the bailout, because sometimes the bailout feels like I didn't learn anything, or the bailout will feel like emasculating, for lack of a better term. You know what I'm saying? So it's like sometimes it's just like
go as far as you can.
Go as far as you can,
if you
and
can't, then
your lifeline right there.
Because they come back to parenting again, because that's going to show you how to parent also when it's your turn, when you have your children and they need from you. You're not going to shut them down and say no. You think you're a man, go do it. I've never had that approach with my children because I never saw the need for it. They never showed me that as man or as woman, I don't need you in my life kind of vibe, or just mind your business, or don't ask me my business. Never, never. If I want to know something, I ask. And if they don't feel it's appropriate to give me an answer, that's on them,
That's pretty
Yeah.
pretty spot on, yeah. The next one is parenting your parents. For me personally, when I call your phone and you answer, what are you doing besides being my mother? I don't understand it. I don't. But parenting your parents goes pretty much deeper into it too, because what's that riddle about walking on 4, standing on 2, and then walking on 3? You always return to childlikeness, because as you get older, things return to you.
Yeah.
So it's like that's why we have had this discussion about who will take her in her old age, because we don't do retirement homes. No, she can't go in a retirement home. So we be like, who is she going?
Yeah,
it's just like, I'll take her. And I'm like, I too will take her. Disha be like, maybe on weekends not and play. But, it's very much because of how much care, like as adults, we realized and came to understanding how much care and effort she put into raising us.
Correct.
And as kids, we might have understood it because of how our peers' parents were, their dynamic. But once we grew up and understood and had an appreciation for our dynamic, it was like, oh, superhuman. Like she was doing a thing and we didn't even realize till we got to the age we got to and realized it. So it's like, we're prepared.
Yeah, because can you imagine you not preparing your children for their future, right? The future comes now and you need some help. Your children don't know how to do it or deal with it because they weren't prepared by you. How?
Everything comes back full circle.
Full circle. You're born without teeth, you die without teeth. If you live your full life, born crawling or can't move, it's beginning to end. And if you live your full life, that's what you're going to get. So you have to prepare, and they'll be prepared.
Yeah. And I think that's what a legacy is. People talk about legacy a lot, and they always think it's some grandiose thing, something major. It's literally something leaving people behind that remember you for your love and your light and your affection. I feel like it's the biggest legacy. Like you lived a life that was like
not bitter.
Like that inspired people to love and inspired people to be who they are. And all these little things, you know what I'm saying? And that's success to me. That's life well lived. Full of love, full of happiness, full of laughter. I mean, there's always times where you won't laugh or you'll have sad moments, stuff like that. But what you remember and what you're remembered for is all the good moments, and how far stretched they were. And when she don't pick up the phone. So the last question that you couldn't see yesterday was, this is a Hunger Games question. Okay, which kid would you volunteer for if we got picked at the reaping for the Hunger Games?
Disha.
You gonna volunteer for Disha?
To play the game?
No. If one of us got picked, who would you volunteer for out of the three of us? Now they're gonna think I influenced your answer. No. I know why she said Disha. I'm gonna explain why later.
What do you mean? Like, who am I gonna volunteer for as far as the three of you?
Yeah.
If one of you got picked?
Yeah.
So I'm
instead of us, you.
Oh, if I got picked?
No, like one of us get picked, but you gonna volunteer for us.
To work with y'all, you mean?
No, like instead of us.
Oh, to go in your place.
Yeah.
Ah, AJ.
Okay. That's a baby. I get it. I get it. I just feel like...
So he knows that in reality, I'm going to do it for him. You know why? Because he's the middle child, number one. Number two, he's so versed in so many things. He will. I mean, I need that here to figure out here to do what has to be done here. Yes, yes, yes. So it would be you. That was a tough question because that was out of left field.
I know, right?
Hunger Games.
I needed you to have the honest reaction.
Oh my
to
god!
it.
Yeah.
When I was going through them, I'm like, who am I going to? I feel like she'll pick me.
Because... I would, but you see me pick everybody else before I pick her. But was a reason for that.
But I feel like you would pick. You will pick me because I mean Asia has registered.
Right.
You got it.
Right.
And I feel like ain't nobody messing with Disha when she ended up in that arena.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I might make her a lifetime.
That's why you understand. But other things now he's a whole lot stronger on those fronts.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, but I get it.
We have reached the end of the episode 1 for the kids, the first podcast episode of Dukiton TV. Do you feel like there's things that we're more on a common ground about than we were before? Things that we now feel too?
I always felt that we follow a common ground together. I always open that line of communication with all three of you to make sure that we are like that. Some are more difficult than others to get to the common ground, but it's there. We have it. We have the basis for it. So it's just whether clean it up, fix it up, or whatever. But we got it.
Good.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you for watching and listening, and stay tuned for the next episode of You Feel It Too.
Yeah.
Only on Dukiton TV.